Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to us through Facebook, and the message, it feels like this. Let me tell you my story, and my story, it happened a very long time ago. I am a Zulu woman. I am aged 47 years old now. I have children. I have a home. From the outside, my life, it looks ordinary because after I had worked at this other satanic clinic in Joburg, I then managed to secure a better job, just like what our boss had promised us. It was not only me that was working there. Since I am South African, I was the one that was responsible at the reception area to receive those that wanted to be assisted at that satanic clinic. It was a satanic clinic and it was a fly-by-night clinic. It was not even registered. Most of the people, they thought that it was a real clinic and the doctors, they were fake there. But what really unsettled me was the amount of the money that these Malawian doctors were making. They were not even real doctors, even though they called themselves to be doctors. They made so much money, and just like what they had promised me and the other three women that were working with me, the other one, she was from Lesotho, the other one, she was from Mozambique, then the other one, she was South African. These did some of the stuff that was really terrible. Just that I don't have their phone numbers. I could have directed them to you so that they can also give their own testimony. The things that we did there, it was quite strange, so much that if someone were to hear about this, they'll think again before they would ever think about removing a pregnancy, because of the way that these women would be told to remove some of these pregnancies. And this was done with no knowledge at all as to how the body of a woman operates. They will just do whatever that they thought was right, using the traditional way that they said they had been trained to do in Malawi. Because when they came here, they came to South Africa as sangomas looking for clients. They assisted people to have bigger manhood and those that wanted to get rich quick. So they would print out some flyers, then we would go to downtown. You see these flyers, they'll never market these flyers of short boys and to have penis enlargement to some people that will be uptown. They will always market these flyers downtown because they know that downtown, that is where you can find the most desperate people. And when someone is desperate, they really do not think straight. So we would receive a huge volume of calls on a daily basis, people just wanting to confirm if indeed what we were doing, we were assisting people to become rich. And as I was told by my boss, that each and every time when I would receive a phone call, my duty was to never say no. Did not even matter what kind of a situation the person was facing. I was always supposed to say, oh yes, this is what we do. Here we do money rituals and you can get rich as quickly as possible, as we had been instructed to do by our boss. They would come, people that were poor, looking at that person, you will see that this money that they have been charged by the Sangoma, they can use it to do something with it, but because they wanted quick money, they would take good advantage of them. My primary duty was to handle those that would come to confirm at the front desk, and it was a nice clinic. But to be strange, the things that were strange about this clinic was that at the same clinic there was another room which they were using to consult as sangomas. It was quite strange for other people that did not understand. This happened a very long time ago when I was still very young. That time it was very, very hard, and there were times when, as a woman, she had no choice but to do whatever that society wanted her to do. If you were young and pregnant, there was a stigma against you because it was unheard of teenage pregnancies. So when you would have fallen pregnant, your parents will try to hide you. At church, they will judge you. At clinics, it was even worse. There was even a time when young teenagers, when they would go and get cured for STIs, even the nurses would refuse and say, you cannot have an STI at this age. It was because of the stigma. Even if a young girl will say that she wants to have a family plan prevention method done on her so that she can not fall pregnant, the stigma was quite a lot at the clinics. They'll be like, why do you want to use a prevention method? You are busy sleeping around. You should focus on your education. So most of these women, some of them, they were victims of even rape. Some of them, they had been impregnated by married men. So they would come to the fly-by-night abortion clinics like the one that I was working at. I came to Johannesburg from KZN looking for work. Any work was going to do by me. I stayed in rooms shared by my cousin sisters, and some they sold themselves. These are my cousin sisters that were even selling themselves just for the sake of money. Everyone was just trying to survive by then. One day, a woman that I knew at the same hostel where I was staying, she then said that she knew that there was a place looking for helpers. She did not say much even about the amount of salary that I was going to be making, because I was interested in how much I was going to be making if I was going to be working at that particular place. She did not say much. She just said, it is a clinic, they pay cash. I didn't ask any questions. And I said, working at a clinic, are you not supposed to be trained like as a nurse or something? You can't just go and get a job at the clinic. She was like, it's one of those private clinics. And I was so excited because in my mind, I was seeing myself at the level of your med clinic working there. I did not know hell was waiting for me, or rather, hell was waiting for those other women, the ones that were going to come to that clinic and then they were going to have their abortions there. If only they knew the lack of hygiene that was there, they could have just kept their pregnancies. The hygiene, I think it is better, but the spiritual stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you, the way that we handled the waste, because once you have an abortion, the fetus, it is called like waste. It has to be taken somewhere else. It has to be handled in a proper way. But at that place where I was working, there were no protocols at all that were being followed, and they did not take any accountability at all, since this was like your fly by night. I needed that money. I was excited. I still remember that on the night when she told me that she would take me to that place so that she can try to have me speak with the boss. She worked close to that building where this fake clinic was, the next street, so she had heard about it by other women at the salon where she would go and get a hair done there. That was when she found out, and then she asked the Malawian doctor, and I don't know if she knew that this Malawian doctor was not a real doctor, he was just a fake one, or she did not know. I'm not sure about it, but she was very confident that this man was a legit man. He just wanted a receptionist. Since I had mentioned it to my cousin sisters that I had once held a job as a receptionist back in Durban, I once worked for this other small company. It was an upcoming company that I had worked for, so I had some experience. I was much excited about this job opportunity that had came my way. And then that woman took me to town. She even paid for the taxi, and she told me that she was doing this because when she looked at me, she saw me as if I was her little sister, and she hoped that one day her own little sister will also get the same help like she was giving to me. We arrived at that place. It looked like a clinic from the outside. Everything was okay. But when I checked, like when you are entering into a clinic, there are things that you are supposed to expect, that there must be a big sign everywhere, but it was just not there. And people would come there and then they would leave quietly. Inside, there were the South African woman that I saw and the woman from Lesotho. They greeted me and we spoke, and they said that we were going to wait for the boss for the interview. Within a very short period of time, the boss came. He was wearing some traditional clothes. I just thought that maybe he is an ancestral calling. I did not want to judge, since he was going to be my boss and I really needed this job. I did not enjoy staying anymore at the place where I was staying. And then he took me to this other office. But as we were walking to that office, my brother, I saw that in another room, it was quite a dirty room. There was a clinic bed that was in there, and on top of the bed there was a woman that was there. She was pregnant and she was waiting for that abortion to be done on her. It was so scary for me to think of that. But we went to the office. When we arrived at the office, I was told that since I was not yet used to the company, how they ran the company, they could not just put me at the front desk alone. My work from there on was supposed to be cleaning, mopping the floors, wiping rooms, carrying bags, taking the waste out. And I was going to be assisted by him, as well as to be assisted by some of the women that were working there. I did not ask what was happening at first. I told myself that all these women that came, maybe they just wanted to have their pregnancies tested. I told myself that this is how you survive in Joburg, and you survive in Joburg by doing whatever that comes your way. So women will come early mornings, late evenings, but most of the times during broad daylight, we did not have a lot of customers. And some came alone, but they would be crying. I never asked any questions when I would be booking them, and they were always ashamed, never looking at me. After a while, I noticed something that really made me uncomfortable, that made me want to stop working there. There were men that were South African who were not patients. They would come on certain days, mostly afternoons. They did not speak much to me. They would just ask if the boss was around and if the packages were ready. By packages, they meant the waste. So they would take the buckets that had the waste, including those clothes that you put on the bed. Those were the things that they would take, put into plastic bags and load it into their van. And then I started to see that these people, it's not like they are working for the Department of Health or something, because they were even wearing traditional clothes, head beads. These were your sangomas. They came to collect some of the fetuses, as well as those sheets that we used to put on that clinic bed when a woman is having a child aborted. The blood that will be coming out, they wanted those beddings, and they used to bring a lot. These were like the suppliers. They would just come and take, no receipts, no document signed that they have collected the waste, nothing. Then I started to have terrible dreams. I started to have headaches. And then in my dreams, I started to see that my boss, he was busy selling the parts of the fetuses, because when a woman is having an abortion, what happens at that time is that sometimes the baby, she cannot come out on her own. It might get stuck. So they use some tools. These tools that they use, they drag out piece by piece of that baby until the baby is outside, and they would be putting it into a bowl. It is scary and it is very disgusting. Then one day, a very young girl came, too young. We were supposed to ask him what is it exactly that had happened. But since I had been told that I was never supposed to ask any questions at all, this girl, she came and then she was taken into that room where they used to remove the pregnancies, and I heard her screaming. I don't know, it's like she was not responding to the pain medication, the way that she screamed throughout the procedure. I was even called to that room. My God, it was so terrible. That was the first time like ever to witness that whole procedure being done, them removing the pregnancy. I cannot unsee what I saw on that day. I did not know that when they remove it, it comes out like a species, small pieces. And just like what my boss had promised me, he promised me that I was going to get a great job. And indeed, I got a great job. And later on, that was when I asked for a transfer and I returned back to KZN. I got married, I have children, I have built a normal lifestyle. But no matter how much normal my life has gotten, but being normal won't erase your memory. So many years later, those memories, they keep on coming back to me, especially the time when I think about that girl as they were removing the baby from her womb. It was so terrifying. I had never ever expected that this was what they used to do, these people. And I do not wish anyone to go through that process. This girl, she screamed for hours and hours, and she even said, please just stop it. Let me go back home. That Malawian man said, I can't stop you to go home with this leg hanging out from your private part. We have to remove everything, sweetie. And he started pulling those things with something that looked like pliers. It was so scary. I don't know, this man who was not even a doctor, where he had gotten this idea from to remove those things the way that he did, but it was truly terrifying. And also to know that this girl that just had an abortion, the next thing that was going to happen was that those sangomas were going to come and they were going to collect those human remains, and they were going to use them to create some topologies and some charms so that people can become rich overnight. This I heard from the South African woman. I asked him, why is it that these men, they kept on coming back, collecting some of this waste? Were they going to burn it? She laughed and she said, no, don't you know that the reason as to why we get paid so much money, it is because the boss, he has so much money, because first of all, he gets money from the consultation, the traditional way. Then he gets money from the women, those that come to have their pregnancies removed. Then he gets money again from sangomas. I asked that woman, what is it that is so special about these fetuses? And then I was told that a sangoma that does not have power, so you will end up using the blood that comes out when a woman is having that abortion. I felt sorry mostly for those women that would have come to that abortion clinic, and then they will say that I tried to go to the government clinic and explained it to them that I don't want to keep this baby because I was raped, and then they would get some stigma. They will be left with no choice at all but to end up coming to that fly-by-night clinic where I was working. My boss, he kept his promise, and then I got hired by a very big company that is well known all over South Africa. I then applied and I came to KZN. But what is in my mind, I can't wipe it off, especially that scene where that girl was crying because they had injected her with that medicine that makes you to have no pain at all. But she kept on complaining, saying that she was feeling numb and she was feeling pain whilst they were removing the pieces of her child. But they told her that if they left her like that, her womb was going to rot. They were supposed to clean it up. I don't know with the procedure if these girls ended up having babies when they were ready to have children. I so wish to hear from someone who has ever done that, if she was able to have a child later on in life. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sister. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. If you have ever had an abortion, you can come to our inbox and you can share with us your own side of the story. It is quite strange. She was saying that they used to be sangomas that would come and collect some of the stuff from that clinic. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Then there is another message that I received, and it reads like this: I stabbed a man in Kaelicha and then I ran away, and now he won't leave me alone, and I think that I activated this spirit of this man the time when I visited the Sangoma for another separate issue. I am a South African man. I grew up in Kaelicha, and this happened a long time ago. It was in the year 2010. That time I was young. I was angry because of the situation at home. My dad was very abusive, and my mom, she would just drink her alcohol, and they would beat each other whenever they were drunk. It was a violent home. Even my own sister was raped by my uncle, who was my mom's elder brother. And I grew up in gangs, always at tavern. Since I was an angry young man, I was always trying to prove something. I'm not proud of who I was back then. There was a man that I did not get along with. We had history of stealing each other's girlfriends. We always had fights, and it was about ego. You know how it is in the township when you are living a gangster's life, and things started to build slowly until one night it exploded. That night we were at a tavern, loud music everywhere, alcohol, people, they were just enjoying, and then the argument started again. I don't even remember the exact words and why we were fighting in the first place. I only remember wanting to prove a point once and for all that this guy, I owned him. He was not my match because he was a leader of his own small crew, and I was also a leader of my own small crew. Since he had challenged me, I had the risk of losing my position in my gang. So I was supposed to fight with him. When we started arguing, my blood was boiling. I was like a pit bull, ready to be fighting with the weaker dog. And it was very fast, the way that we fought. All that I knew was that I was handed down a knife by my friend, and I stabbed that guy. When I stabbed this man, he started running away from the tavern. So at the tavern where we used to drink our alcohol, there was a highway close to that tavern, and we had to walk from the location where I was staying. Then we go to that turf that did not belong to us, so that we can just cause some problems and to show them that we were a much stronger gang than they were. So when he ran out, his gang members, they also started hiding because they were scared of our gang, because we were many on that night. I think we were about 20 or 25. Then we said, let us chase after him. He knew it that we were going to come after him. As he was running, this man, he was drunk, and then he was hit by a car that was speeding. It was just a simple hit and run. He was later found in the road, and when we heard about this, we even celebrated to celebrate the death of your enemy. And since this man, I was not the one who had killed him, all that I had done was that I had just stabbed him. Life just continued, and I finally got a job, and I moved out of the province, and I came to where I am right now. I got married. I have a child. No one in the community where I stay knows about my history. It is just that I don't want people to know that I have a family back home, but I just live as if I just grew up in this province. My wife, she does not even know this story. Things got bad, my brother, after I had lost a job. This was in 2018 when I lost the job. And then I went to Esangoma because I wanted to be cleansed. So I wanted peace at work. I had seen that I was being hated for no reason at all. And I said that these are the signs that my ancestors are not happy. I just wanted to go to Esangoma who knew the things that they do very well so that they can assist me and then I can return back to work. But unfortunately, I did not return back to work. I then got another job. Ever since that time, when I started using Muti, I am being haunted by the spirit of this man. Since 2018, I don't have any peace at all in my heart. Each and every night, it's like clockwork. Once it gets dark, once you switch off the lights, then this man, he would appear in the room which I'll be in. Sometimes when I wake up wanting to touch my wife, I can see that my wife, she is no longer a woman, but it is that same man. What is really terrifying about this is that when I look at my wife, she will be having a knife that would be stuck in her stomach, just at that place where I stabbed this man. Because as we were fighting, I stabbed him on the left side on his stomach, and he started screaming and he ran away. But I was able to pull out that knife, and we hid that knife because we did not want any problems with the police, even though we wanted him dead on that night. And it is quite scary because when I see him in my bed, what he starts to do is that he will remove that knife slowly but surely. He will start to remove it from his stomach, and when I am watching him, that is the most scariest part about it, because I will also be feeling some pain in my stomach. And my wife always asks me, why is it when I wake up I will be screaming? Sometimes she is the one that wakes me up, and she will say that you have been screaming all along. I am afraid of death. I do not want to die because I do not know what death has in store for me. My brother, if you know any other Sangoma who can assist me, I would be grateful, and I will be following through in the comment section. I was just young, I was just stupid. I did not know that what I was doing at that time, it was wrong. I now go to church, but I'm failing to chase away this spirit. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Let us try to talk with him in the comment section. Yo, strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Then there is another message that I'm going to be sharing with you, and this message, it reads like this. Hello, how are you? Please post my story as anonymous. I have my confession that I want to share with you. I'm a South African man, but I do have a house in Soweto, but I'm living in another area. So this house of mine, it was left behind by my mother, and that is where I am making money. So in August of 2025, there was a room already which I had been renting out to a woman that is from Giani, Limpopo side. So she was staying alone, but she had too many boyfriends of all national as well as South African men. So everything was normal with this woman at first. When she started staying at my house in the beginning of 2025, we had a lease agreement of a year. Then the problem started after 2 weeks. She was loud, very loud. Things were getting stolen. There was one Nigerian guy who had the batteries of his vehicle getting stolen now and again. And this is a tenant that has been staying at that house for a long time. So they started complaining, and then they said that they wanted to move out because he plays music late at night, men coming in and out, laughing, shouting, arguments with their boyfriends. Neighbors, they started complaining as well too many times. At first, I talked to her nicely. I went there and I said, please lower the volume. People are complaining. Let's just respect each other. She would agree, smile, and apologize. The next weekend, same thing. Neighbors, they started calling me. They even threatened to call the police. So I said, this girl, she is the one that is messing up. I started getting stressed. One night I got a phone call. I went there to see for myself. The noise was too much. Someone even threw a bottle and it hit the window. They were angry at the noise. That was when I lost my temper. I shouted at her. I shouted badly. I said things that I should have never said. I told her to pack her things and leave immediately. I did not give a notice. I did not care. I just wanted there to have peace. She looked at me and she said, oh, okay, you want me to go, but the lease said that I'm supposed to leave after a year. So I said, I don't care about that stupid lease. It is my house. Pack your things. Go. She packed the things and left that same night, but not everything, her clothes. The next day, that was when she came and she took everything. But I have heard from the tenants that she said you're going to struggle to put someone at this room. And I just thought that maybe they just did not hear right. And to me, witchcraft does not exist. But now I am taking it seriously. I think witchcraft is for real. From August 2025 until now, that room has never been occupied. I'm not exaggerating. People, they come to view, they like it. The price is good, the location is good. Then they disappear, just promises, we're going to come back. They say that they will pay deposit later on, nothing. One guy stayed 2 nights, he left. We had been looked for me by that Nigerian man because I complained to him that I'm not making so much money. I have rented rooms for years. I have never experienced this. The room is clean. I have Wi-Fi. I have geysers for my tenants. It is the same size as others. Electricity, but that room I am failing. I have been marketing this room for a long time. I do not know if I am thinking correctly. Do you think that this woman from Guyana, she cursed my house? Because now it is 2 rooms that I am now struggling to put tenants. There is a girl who finished her college. She returned back to Limpopo and I am experiencing that same problem. But my neighbors, you can hear them saying that there are people that are looking for rooms. I don't have any space anymore. Maybe I should put more bedrooms. But as for me, my house is beautiful. I do have people that do garden services. I have set everything nicely, a bright area, even a fridge in the shared kitchen. But I don't know what is wrong. My rooms, they do not find tenants. After this woman had cursed me, what am I supposed to do as a person? I'll be glad if you help me, if you just give me a response. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother right there. Do you think that his house was bewitched by the lady that he says is from Guyana, because he chased her out in the middle of the night? Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Tell me what you think in the comment section.